I'd like to extend a very good morning and welcome to all our online fans taking the live feed at home via the tremendous work of Beardcast to my left. Of course, Beardcast is very well known now throughout the roller derby community, certainly here in Victoria, if not around the country, for the amazing work of producing roller derby videos and live stream. Whilst we've got this opportunity, and before we officially get things underway, I would like to take this opportunity now to conduct an acknowledgement of country. We acknowledge the Dja Dja Wurrung people as the traditional custodians of the country we are competing on today. We recognise their continuing connection to these lands and waterways and thank them for protecting this land and the ecosystems since time immemorial. We pay our respects to the Dja Dja Wurrung elders, past, present, and extend that respect to all First Nations peoples here today. Always was, always will be. So the rest now all gathered in the centre, just having a bit of a last minute chat. Slightly different lineup this year, slightly different looking teams, and we'll cover that throughout the course of the day. And of course, we have got some absolute ripping games to get through to kick off the 2023 season. Dragon City Roller Derby, Westside Roller Derby, they're going to kick things off. And after that, it is Ballarat Roller Derby taking on Kingston. And that promises to be an absolute belter of a game. Considering the last time those two teams met, it was on this very track at this very venue. And Ballarat in the final jam of the day taking victory from the jaws of defeat, it has to be said, and we'll cover that off a little bit more throughout the course of the day. So that's a rolling whistle, which means we are seconds away. So that whistle means let's get the 2023 season underway. Nicely done there by the Westside Jammer. Trippy Taka 108. Wasting no time getting on through the pack, picking up lead jammer for Westside. Pack slowly coming through turns 1 and 2. Not phasing Trippy Taka too much. Early points for Westside. Pack now coming down the back straightaway. KT, KO out the front there, just trying to offer up the last line of defence before having to yield. Looking to the outside part of the back straightaway there for Trippy Taka. Not going to work. Chico's defence more than up for the challenge. Pack now coming through turns number 3, and again the defence there of the Chicos nicely done, forcing the cut track on Trippy Taka. It's going to release Argy Bargy out of the box. Of course, Argy Bargy, the jammer for the Chicos, now has a power jam to play with. A good opportunity for some points for Chico Rollers. Pack midway point of the back straightaway. Westside defence, as we saw last season, very, very strong, very hard to get through. Star passing completed. The new recognised jammer is number 10. Of course, that is KTKO, now the recognised jammer for Chicos, but the time clock runs out before KT can add any points to the Dragon City score. First jam down sees Westside on 12. Dragon City yet to open up their account. They remain on 0. Three slasher is the jammer for Westside. And again, as Slasher often does, gets through the pack nice and quick, picking up lead jammer, but unfortunately picking up a cut track penalty. So a visit to the penalty box then for Slasher. Smacker on the jammer then for Dragon City. Pack now coming through turn number 2, working to the inside part of turn 2. Smacker on, gets on through. Nicely done there. Good bit of defense there. Number 3 for Dragon City. That's Spunky. Holding up Slasher nicely until some territory available to the outside of the track on that previous pass. But that one's now in the books, all done and dusted. So Dragon City open their account, picking up 7 points in that previous jam. Westside picking up a further 10, moves them along to 22. So number 5 then, Calamity June, the jammer for Dragon City. Jammer for Westside, I believe it is Smiling Assassin. Or Smiley. Correction there. So 5-3-1. Smiley then, the jammer for Westside. Nice recycle there from number 10 KTKO. Nicely done then. Calamity June gets on through for the Chico Rollers. So a good opportunity for Chicos to add to their score. Nicely done. Inside part of the back straightaway. It's 4 more points in for Chico Rollers. Smiley not to be outdone. Picking up another 4 points, but has seen enough. So 4 points apiece there for both teams. Dragon City on 15, Westside on 26. And we've got roughly 23 and a half minutes to go in this first half. So as we get jam number 4 underway, it is Hurl Scout and Trippy Tarka, the 2 jammers on track. Unfortunately for Trippy Tarka, it is a high block. So a visit to the penalty box. That leaves Hurl Scout on track as the lone jam. So a power jam then for Dragon City. Number 7-3 Siebes the day. Westside Roller Derby. Putting on an absolute blocker clinic. Also in there helping out. Looks like Jonesy there. At the front of the pack as the pack now comes through turn number 1. And Tripitaka back out on track now, wasting no time in getting through the pack. Nicely done then from Hurl Scout. So it's 4 more points in for Tripitaka on that previous pass. It is now Power Jam for Westside. Unfortunately in for Hurl Scout picking up a penalty, so we have the pack now coming through turn number 3. Nicely done then from the Westside blockers to again hold Dragon City to 0 in that previous jam whilst picking up 12 points themselves. Westside move along then to 38, Dragon City on 15. So 3-3-3 it is then for Westside jamming. Of course, that is Slasher. Power jam start for Westside. Nicely done, Slasher getting on through, picking up lead jammer. As a pack now coming through turns number 1 and 2 at the far end of the track. Just the one blocker then, KTKO for Slasher to negotiate, and KTKO is going to make sure Slasher earns every little bit of territory that Slasher wants to take. If he gets through though, it's another 4 points then for Westside. Meanwhile, back at the centre part of the back straightaway here, or the grandstand side of the track, Hurl Scout with plenty of work to do to recycle. Nicely done back into turn number 2. And both teams now defensively really going to work on the 2 jammers, and Slash has seen enough of it and calls it off. Not before picking up 4 points. Nice little jam there for Westside. Just the 8 points moving them along to 46. But again, holding Dragon City to 0. They remain on 15. As we go to our first team timeout of the game. So after that short little break, we are back. And Smiley then getting on through, picking up lead. Jammer 5-3-1, of course, that is for Westside Roller Derby. Argy Bargy, the jammer for Dragon City Roller Derby. Nicely done, previous pass there by Smiley. It's 4 more points. And before Argy Bargy can do anything about it again, it's a hit it and quit it kind of style of derby. And for those that might be watching derby for the first time, hit it and quit it is basically a reference for when a jammer gets through, they get their points, and before the other jammer can come through, providing their lead jammer, of course, they call it off. So we then have Trippy Taka and Smackaron. Trippy Taka for Westside Roller Derby getting on through. It is a lead jammer, Westside. Smackaron, the jammer for Dragon City Roller Derby. Nice bit of defense there from Dragon City, taking Trippy Taka back to the midway point of the main straightaway. That didn't faze Trippy Taka too much. And Trippy Taka doing all the things and picking up the points. It's 4 more points for Westside. The action though is coming down into turn number 3. As now the Westside blockers go to work trying to hold up. The Dragon City jammer. And whilst all that was going on, Trippy Taka picks up another 4 points on that previous pass, but met solidly coming back off of turn 4 into the main straightaway. But nicely done by Trippy getting on through. And it's yet another 4 points. Matty Longlegs, Rev. 2 very, very strong blockers for Westside. Nicely done though, Trippy Taka, just 20 points. Moving Westside along to 74. And Dragon City remain on 15. So we get jam number 8 underway. Slasher jamming for Westside. Calamity June jamming rather for Dragon City. Number 1 KTKO right out the front of the pack, trying to make life as difficult as possible for Slasher, but Slasher finding a way. Coming off of turn number 2, lead jammer Westside. Pack now coming through turns. Spread out between turn 1 and 2. Nice bit of defense there from number 1-7. That's Liz Vegas for Westside. Also Siebes today in amongst it all as well. And Slasher has done what had to be done and called the jam off. So Smiley it is jamming in for Westside Roller Derby. Dana jamming for Dragon City Roller Derby. First time we've seen Dana jamming in this game. Nicely done. Finding a way through the inside part of turns 1 and 2. The scoreboard's changed. We've got nice little club logos now above the scorelines. Isn't that cute? Nicely done, Beardcast. Of course, Beardcast, a huge supporter of roller derby, as was mentioned right at the beginning of the broadcast. Huge supporter of roller derby and brings roller derby into the homes of many. And we cannot thank Beardcast for everything. But we get jam number 10 underway. And Tripitaka, again, getting on through, lead jammer for West Side. Argy Bargy then for Dragon City. Is a jammer on track. Siebes today, 7-3 out front then for West Side is the last line of defence. Nicely done by Siebes just to hold up Argy Bargy. Got to that point where Argy Bargy had to be let go. And Tripitaka seen enough and called it off. A huge shout out obviously to the Arc, which is the venue we find ourselves here today. And of course the Arc are also fantastic supporters of roller derby. And fair to say we'll be back here again at some point throughout the course of this year. So we get jam number 11 underway. 333 Slasher jamming for Westside. And Smackaron jamming for Dragon City. Unfortunately then for number 3, Spunky picking up a penalty for the Chicos. Dragon City. Number 10, KTKO, also making a trip to the penalty box. So the blocker advantage clearly now is with West Side as the pack comes through into turn number 2. ICU 212, the blocker there for West Side. Liz Vegas, number 17, also in amongst it. 4-4 Rev, also out there as well. These are 3 very, very strong blockers. Nicely done to the outside part of turn number 3, Slasher. It's 4 more points then for West Side. Number 0, Maddie Longlegs, nice recycle to the front of the pack. And nicely done, drawing the penalty on Smackaron. Again, KTKO, number 10 for Dragon City, offering up that last line of defence for Slasher. Not before Slasher, though, gets on through. And adding another 4 points to the ever-growing Westside Roller Derby total. They are on 99. Dragon City Roller Derby. The Chicos are on 15. And we're going to make our way into our second team timeout now. So we're going to take a little short break for about a minute or so. So welcome back to the action. Jam number 12 underway. We have Smiley jamming for Westside Roller Derby League. It is a power jam start for Westside. Unfortunately, Smacker on picking up a penalty in the previous jam. So Smiley has got through the pack nice and quick. And is again going about trying to get as many points as possible. We have a cleared out penalty box, which means we have a full complement of skaters. No quicker had I said that. 1-7, Liz Vegas unfortunately picking up a penalty. So the blocker advantage now clearly with the Chicos. It's going to be a 4-3 blocker advantage their way as the pack now comes off of turn 2 into the pack straight away. And of course the West Side defence, as they were last year, very, very strong. You have Seeds Today, Massacre Jones in amongst it there at the back of the pack, almost on the exit point of turn number 2. And they are giving Smacker on plenty to think about. ICU is in amongst it as well, as the pack slowly comes into turn number 3. It's not phasing Smiley too much. 4 more points picked up on that previous pass. And Smiley has seen enough. $11 more points in for Westside. They move along to 110. Dragon City Roller Derby remain on 15. And that's about the 5th consecutive jam of adding no score. As Tripitaka 108 gets on through, picking up lead jammer for Westside. Jamming for Dragon City, Calamity June, unfortunately, early stages of this jam. It is a visit to the penalty box. So to power jam then for Tripitaka and Westside. And Trippy doing what Trippy does so very, very well, and that is scoring points and quickly. Trying to find some territory to the outside part of turn number 1. That wasn't going to work. Looks across to the bench and strategically calls that jam off, does Tripitaka, but not before adding 8 more points. So we're into jam number 14, In a Pickle. Jamming for Dragon City. Slasher jamming for Westside. First time we have seen In a Pickle jamming in this game. So In a Pickle now is potentially on a power jam, as Slasher made an early visit to the penalty box. Pack now coming through turn number 1. Unfortunately for In a Pickle, it is 3 of the strongest blockers going around. Seeves Today, ICU, Massacre Jones out front of the pack. And those 3 blockers are going to do absolutely everything they can to hold up In a Pickle for as long as possible. Same has to be said for the Chicos blockers at the back of the pack, giving Slasher plenty to think about. It really is a case of who can find that little bit of territory to get on through Of course, I'm talking about the two jammers who are being held up nicely by some very, very, very tidy defense from both teams. Razorback for Chicos out front. Can't quite see the other two. 2-7. Diana also in amongst it as well. Nice bit of defense work there. Looks like from Liz Vegas taking in a pickle to the inside part of turn number 3 to recycle almost back to the midpoint of the back straightaway as a pack now slowly coming through into turn number 3 to dip. This west side defense, well, that is in terms of defense and in terms of holding up jammers and allowing them not to get through and scoring. For those Derby fans that are watching today, that's as good as it gets. Two teams of blockers just relentless in making sure that neither jammer got through. Hence, we have 0 points. Trippy Tarkard is then jamming for Westside. Argy Bargy jamming for Dragon City. Well, we've seen it so many times in this game. Trippy Tarkard just seemingly finding territory where there's no territory available. Picks up lead jammer for Westside. Pack now coming down the back straightaway. The Chicos blockers trying everything they can. Nicely done. 1-0 KTKO. Taking Trippy Tarkard to the outside part of turn 3. Unfortunately, though, for Argy Bargy, it is another visit to the penalty box. Oh, KTKO again taking Trippy Tarkard to the outside part of turn number 4. The recycling for Trippy was almost back to the midpoint of turns 3 and 4. As the pack now comes down the main straightaway. Chico's defense giving Trippy Tarkard plenty to think about, but Trippy more than up for the challenge, gets on through. It's 4 more points in for Westside. And after serving a penalty, Argy Bargy back out on track and immediately being met by some solid defense from Westside, but nicely done. Argy Bargy on the previous pass just working on to the inside part of the main straightaway, but time is going to beat Argy Bargy, but not before picking up some points, and much needed points too, I have to say, for Dragon City. They move along to 19 after picking up just the 4 points. Westside 8 more points, takes them along to 126, and we've got about 1 minute and 20 to go in this first half. Game number 1 of the statewide Stampede 2023 season. We're going to have a short break because we're under an official timeout, so we're going to have some music. We are back after a short time out there. 5-3-1 Smiley, the jammer for West Side. Smacker on 1-2-0-8 jamming for Dragon City. Nicely done, Smiley on the previous pass, getting on through lead jam, and it's also points now being put in the bank. Smacker on with a bit of work to do on the front straightaway. Number 8-6 there, Razorbeck for Dragon City, just trying to bust up this West Side defence. You have the likes of Massacre Jones there, Siebes the Day. I think Rev is in amongst it as well. Liz Vegas. Mayhem she wrote. Razorbeck, a couple of the really strong blockers out there on track for Chicos. Hurl Scout also the other blocker rather out on track for Chicos. So in terms of defence, Dragon City more than up for the challenge. Smiley though just doing what Smiley does really, really well, and that's just picking up points. 24-point jam. Ladies and gentlemen, that is no easy thing to do, trust me. So fine effort there from Smiley, taking the West Side scoreline up to 150. Dragon City on 19. And that rolling whistle means we're at the halfway point of game one between Dragon City and West Side. So we're going to take a short break. Make sure you make your way outside. We've got a coffee van on site. Grab yourself a nice warm brew. Grab something to eat. There is a cake stall here as well today. Of course, Ballarat Roller Derby League are the host league for today. Huge shout out to Ballarat Roller Derby League. So at the halfway break, it is then Dragon City on 19, West Side on 150. It's a big welcome back. We're not too far off from getting the second half underway in this game one between Westside Roller Derby and Dragon City Roller Derby. Good to see the grandstand to my left slowly filling up with Derby fans, which is what we like to see. And obviously a big shout out to all the Derby fans at home. We trust that you are enjoying the action so far. Both jammers are on track. In fact, both teams are on track, ready to go. Got some special mentions we'll go through. I think we've still got a little bit of time up our sleeve. Yeah, the referees are still in the middle. Big shout out to Hawkeye there in the middle. Great to have Hawkeye back again for another season. And like Beardcast, Hawkeye is a massive supporter of roller derby, taking roller derby photos for as long as I can remember. And I've been involved with the sport now for just on 10 years. So it's good to have Hawkeye back with us again. Very good at taking winning photos too, I might add. I can talk from experience. But that's another story for another day. One of the refs taking a bit of a tumble there before we even get anything underway. Jam number one, second half action. Westside, Dragon City. Trippy Taka and KTKO resume their little battle. But not before Trippy Taka gets on through for Westside and picks up lead jammer. Calamity June, it is then jamming for Chicos. And nicely done there from Calamity June getting on through the pack. Now the pack coming through turn number two. And Trippy Taka finding some territory to the inside part of turn two to pick up the 4 points. And again, Westside picking up where they left off, scoring points, but keeping Dragon City to 0. Two jammers on track for Dragon City. First up, 666 Hurl Scout. And jamming for Westside, it is Smiley. Of course, 531. Nice big smiles coming down the back straight away there. It's always welcome. Thank you. Lead jammer for Westside. As the pack still hasn't come into turn number one. And Chico's defense now going to work on trying to hold up Smiley for as long as possible. Razorbacks there in amongst it. Also, Mayhem She Wrote. Nicely done. KTKO is now the recognised jammer after a successful star pass. And I think maybe some points as well. Nicely done, KTKO. Putting on the jets there just before the end of the jam. And the 4 points, nicely done. Dragon City then, early stages of this second half, move along to 23. Also picking up 4 points, Westside, they move along to 158. Three. It is jamming for Westside, of course, that is Slasher. Number 2 jamming for Dragon City. Argy Bargy. Pack then coming into turn number one. Those jammers are going to almost recycle themselves back into the exit part of turn number 4. Nicely done on the previous pass. Slasher is the lead jammer for Westside. Oh, Nicely done. Maddie Longlegs coming through to the front of the pack, just taking Argy Bargy to the inside part of turn number 4 on the course of recycle. The recycle was almost back into turn number 3. Unfortunately for Argy Bargy, didn't pick up on that. It is a cut track. So a power jam now for Westside and Slasher. But some solid defense in from Dragon City. KTKO number 1 there for Dragon City. 3-3 Fatal Phoenix also in amongst it as well. Doing a nice job of trying to hold up Slasher for as long as possible, and to the point where Slasher had no choice but to call it off. So nicely done there by the Chicos defense. And the defense there for Chicos, pretty good. Trying to hold up Trippy Taka. But Trippy finds a way through. So done 8-6 Razor back then, taking Trippy Taka to the inside part of turn number 4. And RG back inside part of turn number 1. Siebes a day just checking in, making sure that RG's okay. So it was 18 by Trippy Taka and Westside. And Westside move along to 183 with that. Dragon City on 23 as we get jam number Smiley for 5-3-1. Power jam start for Westside. Wasting no time. Is now the course. Again, this West so strong in the form of Matty Longlegs, Rev, Steebs today. Not to be outdone at the front of the pack. 6-6. KO number 9 to get through the pack. So we get this one out of the way. So it's number 2-7, Diana jamming for Dragon City. Going lead jammer, going the way of Dragon City. 3-3-3 Slasher jamming for Westside. The recycle then from number 3, Spunky. Slasher all the way back. Nicely done. Dana getting on through, picking up points for Dragon City. As the pack now comes down the back straightaway. And nicely done. Well done. Dana picking up 6 points, moving Dragon City along to 29. Not only was 6 points added to Dragon City, but they managed to keep Westside to 0. Fine effort, well done. 2 jammers out on track. Now we have Tripitaka for Westside, Calamity June for Dragon City. KTKO taking Tripitaka all the way back to turn number 1, not before racing around to the front of the pack. And again, Tripitaka and KTKO at the front of the pack. KT had to yield and let Trippy through. Lead jam at Westside. So unfortunately then for Dragon City, they have 2 blockers serving penalties in the penalty box. So the blocker advantage is clearly going to go the way of Westside. And that's how we're going to start this next jam. The blocker advantage clearly in favour of Westside Roller Derby. 1208 smacker on the jammer for Dragon City. 4-4 Rev, the jammer for Westside. First time we've seen Rev jamming in this game. And just like that, to the outside or inside part of the main straightaway, Rev gets on through, lead jammer, Westside. As the pack now coming slowly, coming into turn number 1. Doesn't phase Rev too much, bit of a thumbs up and a smile to some fans in the crowd. Gets on through, 4 more points for Westside. Nice defensive work at the back of the pack. 1208 Smackeron's in amongst it there. Razorback also just holding pack. Number 90 Psycho's in amongst it as well, giving Rev plenty to think about. But Rev's more than up for the challenge. Trying to find some territory to the outside part of turn number 1's not going to work. As the pack now comes into turn number 2. Psycho with the recycle on Rev back into turn number 1. But nicely done to the inside part of turns 1 and 2 for Rev. Picks up the 4 points, then calls it off. So we have just on 17-20 remaining in this game. Dragon City 29, Westside on 199. So as we get jam number 9 underway, jamming for Westside, getting on through, picking up lead jammer, it is Slasher. Argy Bargy, number 2-2 for Dragon City, jamming. Nicely done by the Westside defence, taking Argy Bargy to the inside part of the main straightaway. The recycle on Argy Bargy, almost back into turn number 1. Nicely done on the previous pass in from Slasher. Picking up some points for Westside. The recycle on Slasher though, taking almost back into turn number 1, but after picking up 4 more points, Slasher has seen enough and has called the jam. Not before picking up 12 points. With that 12 points, Westside move along to 211. Dragon City are on 29. And we're going to go into another team to go through some thank yous. Obviously, a big thank you to all of our referees for this tournament. A lot of familiar faces we will see a lot of throughout the course of the year. Of course, Team Zebra in the middle there, we thank them, because without referees we can't roller derby. Also our first aid team here as well on the far side of the track near the scoreboard. We thank them for being here and looking after all of our skaters and generally making sure everyone is safe. We're just going to take a short break, a little bit of music before we get things back underway. I'm out. Of course, coming up next on track after this game, we have Ballarat Roller Derby League taking on Kingston City Rollers, which promises to be an absolute belter of a game. Jam number 10 then underway. Trippy Tarka jamming for Westside, wasting zero time in getting through to pick up lead jammer status. KTKO it is then, jamming for Chicos. Nicely done then from KT. KT taking a bit of a dive there in between turns 1 and 2. Nothing to worry about. So on track, jamming for both teams. We have 5-3-1 for Westside, Smiley and Calamity June. Number 5 jamming for Dragon City. Nicely done, Smiley getting on through on the outside part of turn number 2 to pick up lead jammer. Maddie Longlegs then with the defensive work on Calamity June. So Calamity June with a little bit of work to do at the back of the pack. Unfortunately for Calamity June, it is a trip to the penalty box. So power jam it is then for Westside. And Smiley very much aware of this, calling it off. So we do have a bake sale here today, so for all your yummy, sweet and savoury needs. Make sure you go check it out. There's some yummy, yummy food to be had. So we get jam number 12 underway. We have jamming for Westside. First time in this game, it is Michelle. It is a power jam start for Westside, so Michelle's going to do everything possible to try and get maximum points. Nicely done defensively there from Dragon City, taking Michelle back to the main straightaway. As we've seen so often, KTKO number 10 for Dragon City out the front of the pack, just holding up the jammers for as long as possible. Or for as long as legally possible until they have to yield and let the jammer through. Nice bit of footwork there from Michelle getting on through to the outside part of turn 4. Nicely done. 8 more points then for Westside. They move along to 231. Dragon City remain on 29. Got roughly 11 and a half minutes to go in this game. The opening game for the 2023 statewide Stampede season 108. It's all too familiar sight. Tripitaka getting on through the pack. Lee Jammer, West Side. 12.08. Smackaron jamming for Dragon City. With the pack now slowly coming through into turn number 1. The West Side blockers going to work on trying to hold up Smackaron for as long as possible. Of course, the West Side blockers in the form of, well, nicely done, Tripitaka to the inside part of turn number 2. Nice little apex jump. So the West Side blockers, we've got Slasher out there, we've got Maddie Longlegs. Victoria beat her also in amongst it, as well as Rev. 86, Razorbeck blocking for Dragon City. Both teams very strong in their defensive aspect. Tripitaka just getting as many points as possible. It's 4 more points being added to the sizable West Side lead. Oh, nicely done to the outside part of turn 4 there. There wasn't much resistance, has to be said, from the Dragon City defense. But this one runs out. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Tripitaka, 31-point jam is not easy thing to do. That is insanely good. Well done. And with that 31 points, Westside move along to 262. Dragon City remain on 29. Two jammers on track. We have Argy Bargy for Dragon City and Smiley for Westside. Smiley gets on through the pack. Gets on through the pack first, which means one thing, Lee Jammer. The pack now coming through turn number 2. Onto the back straightaway, and happy to go defensively for the time being, and until Smiley called it off. And we're going to take another team timeout. Chicos have called a team timeout, so we'll take a short break. Well, welcome back as we get jam number 15 underway. Dana jamming for Dragon City, Michelle jamming for Westside. As the pack now comes into turns 1 and 2. Oh, nicely done. Dana gets on through, lead jammer again for Dragon City. With the pack now coming into turn number 3. The Westside defence going to go to work on trying to hold up the Dragon City jammer. Number 7-3 then, Siebes today is the recognised jammer now for Westside after a successful star pass. At the back of the pack though is where all the action's at. 4-4 Rev, number 0, Maddie Longlegs. Number 4-2 in amongst it there as well, Michelle. The blockers for Westside. Nicely done, using a little bit of real estate to the inside part of the main straightaway. It's 4 more points for Dragon City. This is turning out to be, I should say, a nice little jam for Dana. And again, well done to the outside part of turn 2 for Dragon City. It is another 4 more points. Pack now got a little bit of speed coming into turn number 3. Siebes today trying to find a way through, but unfortunately it's not going to work this time around. Eight more points then for Dragon City. We are under an official timeout, so I'm going to take a break and we're going to listen to some tunes. Okay, after a short break, we are back. So we get jam number 16 underway. 108 Tripitaka jamming for Westside. Calamity June jamming for Dragon City. As a pack now, well, they've set off, but not quite into turn number 1. Nice bit of defensive work though by Dragon City to recycle Tripitaka, but Tripitaka more than up for the challenge, gets on through, lead jammer Westside. Now the pack comes on through down the back straight away. Tripitaka gets through the pack. It's 4 more points as I look across the track and Unfortunately for Calamity June, it is a visit to the penalty box, so it is a power jam then for West Side. As the pack slowly comes down into turn number 3, the Dragon City defence sets about trying to hold up Trippy Takar for as long as possible, but Trippy having none of it and has decided to call that jam off. So we get jam number 17 underway. 12-0-8 smacker on jamming for Dragon City. And a familiar face, Smiley, coming down the back straightaway, jamming for Westside and lead jammer. 3 cycles for smacker on back into turn number 3 after the Westside defence done what they do so well. Michelle's in there, Maddie Longlegs is in there, Rev's in there. And they're all trying to hold up Smackeron for as long as possible. Razorbeck on the Dragon City side of the equation. Crackerjack also out there blocking for the Chicos. (1-0) KTKO also blocking for the Chicos. Out the front of the pack though, and using the outside part of turn number 1, very, very nicely done, Smiley. And it's 4 more points in for Westside. Good to see some fresh young Derby fans in the stands, watching Derby maybe for the first time, maybe for the second, third or fourth time. We welcome everybody. Nicely done, Smiley, on that previous pass. It's 4 more points then for Westside. KTKO, the recognised jammer now for Dragon City at the back of the pack, has an enormous amount of work to do. 44, Rev for Westside, keeping pack there, bridging out nicely. But Smiley's seen enough. And that one's in the bank. Not before picking up 16 points. Westside on 296. Dragon City on 37. And we've got about a minute and a half remaining in this game. (3-3-3) Slasher jamming for Westside. 2-2 Argy Bargy jamming for Dragon City. Nicely done, Psycho taking Slasher to the outside part of turn number 4, but Slasher's up for the challenge, gets on through, lead jammer Westside. There's a pack now coming through into turn number 1, the Westside blockers doing everything they can to hold up Argy Bargy. Nicely done, Argy Bargy gets on through the pack. Dragon City blockers now trying to hold up Slasher for as long as possible. Mayhem, she wrote, in amongst it. In a Pickle is in amongst it as well. Number 90, Psycho, is there. Nicely done from Psycho, just taking Slasher to the inside part of turn number 2. And again, this trio of Chico skaters doing a nice job trying to hold up Slasher for as long as possible. But finding a way down the midpoint of the back straightaway, Slasher gets on through but had enough and called it off. And that pretty much brings us to the end of the game. The JAMA refs will now confer with the scorers to make sure that all I's are dotted, T's are crossed before we can call this one off. So both teams just return to their respective benches, having a bit of a chat before we can call this one officially. JAMA refs are obviously returning to the centre of the track. They're happy. We're just waiting for the head ref there, Frank. So just a couple of things to square off before we can officially call this game done and dusted. Of course, over the far side of the track, in the black, white and yellow, we have Ballarat Roller Derby League. They're warming up. Kingston in the pink, black and gold are also warming up. And of course, they're up on track next. And that should be an absolute belter of a game. So that rolling whistle then officially brings this game to an end with a huge win. Westside taking the win, 301. Dragon City on 39. Both teams will probably make their way around the track. Just having a little bit of a look. See, no, they're going straight to the scoreboard for their official photos. So if you've never been to roller derby before, we invite you to come on down to this red line here and offer up a high five as these skaters make their way around the track. Some of the fans are doing that. Don't be shy, come on down. The skaters don't bite much. So making their way around the track, we have Westside Roller Derbies, number 0, Maddie Longlegs, 007, Fatal, 101, Go-Go, 102, Victoria Beta, 108, Trippy, 109, Club Sandwich, 17, Liz Vegas, 212, ICU, 42, Michelle, 44, Rev, 333, Slasher, 531, Smiley, 73, Siebes Today, 74, Chuka, 89, Massacre Jones. Dragon City, we have 10 KTKO, 1208 Smackeron, 16 Solid Rage, 22 Argy Bargy, 27 Diana Insomnia, number 3 Spunky, 33 Fatal, 37 Mayhem, 39 Sassy, number 5 Calamity June, 666 Hurl Scout, 77 Crackerjack, 86 Razorbeak, 90 Psycho, 99 in a Pickle. Your two teams. Congratulations to Westside. We're going to take a short-ish break, but make sure after you've had a coffee or something to eat, stretch of the legs, make sure you resume your seats here. And for the fans at home watching online, do likewise. Grab something to eat, stretch your legs, put the billy on, because up next we have one heck of a game. We're going to talk about that in a few moments' time. So it's final scores here. Dragon City on 39, Westside Roller Derby take the win, 301.